Good morning, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you a special tropical update on Tropical Storm Melissa, located here into the central Caribbean Sea. As of this morning, we haven't had much as far as changes in intensity for Melissa, but we have had some upgrades in some of the watches that we saw yesterday, especially for Jamaica. We'll get into that here in just a moment. Taking a very quick look at satellite view as the sun is beginning to come up on Melissa. The center of circulation is right in this region right here. You can see the low level clouds right here rotating in like this. So our center of circulation is in proximity to this large area of thunderstorm activity right here. All right, let's get into the particulars for Melissa. If anybody, I know we're going live at a really weird time, so if anybody does have any questions, please feel free and ask. Currently, as of the 8 a.m. intermediate advisory, Tropical Storm Melissa is located at 15.5 north, 74.9 west, about 215 miles southeast of Kingston, Jamaica, and about 275 miles southwest of Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Maximum sustained winds remain at 50 miles an hour, and its movement is northwest at 5 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure has come up to 1,003 millibars. With this advisory, the government of Jamaica has issued a hurricane watch for the island and has upgraded the tropical storm watch to a warning. We still have a hurricane watch in effect for the southwestern peninsula of Haiti from the border of the Dominican Republic to Port-au-Prince and now Jamaica. We have a tropical storm warning in effect for Jamaica. Please rush all preparations to completion. The most important part of a National Hurricane Center public advisory: the hazards affecting land. Wind. We are expecting, hurricane winds are possible in the hurricane watched area. We are expecting tropical storm winds to begin in Jamaica early tomorrow. So please, folks, there in Jamaica, rush all preparations to completion. Rainfall. This is going to be one of the biggest threats from Melissa. And depending on exactly what the track does today into tomorrow, somebody is going to see some really, really potentially catastrophic rains. Now, Melissa is expected to bring 5 to 10 inches of rain to the southern Dominican Republic, southern Haiti, and eastern Jamaica through Sunday, with locally higher amounts possible. Additional heavy rainfall is possible beyond Sunday. However, uncertainty in Melissa's track and forward speed reduces confidence in exact totals. Significant, life-threatening flash flooding and numerous landslides are possible across Puerto Rico, northern Dominican Republic, northern Haiti, and western Jamaica. 2 to 4 inches of rain is expected through Sunday. Flash and urban flooding will be possible through at least Sunday. And of course, our surf. With this and what it is likely to become, please, folks, stay out of the water. Taking a look at the most recent forecast cone. As you can see, pulling northward, shifting off to the west, maybe a little bit west-northwest, awfully close to Jamaica with the Monday icon here, 2 a.m. Monday, where it is going to be forecast to become a major hurricane just south of Jamaica, and then maintaining major hurricane status as it is continuing to move slowly to the west. Now, this particular distance and how close it is to Jamaica as far as the center track line goes, that would avoid a very dangerous little subsurface eddy that is south of Jamaica. That kind of cuts the gap between them. It's not really going to do much as far as like stopping intensification or anything like that. It's just the oceanic heat content a little further south of Jamaica, and we'll show that here in a moment as I've got the graphics for that. But there is an area of concern a little further south from Jamaica. So this track is going to be very important as to exactly where this system attempts to set up and track through. If we look at this morning's spaghetti plots, this is the 06 Z run. As you can see, the GFS is still pretty much the only one that wants to pull this up and exit it out rather quickly. Everybody else wants to kind of turn this to the left, stall it out here, and it looks like Jamaica is really, really going to be under the gun with this. Then parts of Cuba. Folks over here into the Cayman Islands. Keep a watch on this, especially for Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. You guys are a little bit further to the north and to the east of Grand Cayman, which is going to potentially bring you a little bit closer to the storm itself, which could lead to the potential for some impact. So please, folks, monitor this storm very closely. If it were to come for the Caymans, it is going to be days down the road. So you still have time to make preparations. For the folks in Jamaica, rush them to completion immediately. For our folks in Cuba, you guys are going to also need to begin to make preparations, and also portions of the Bahamas, maybe Turks and Caicos, the southeastern, and maybe even up towards the central Bahamas. Just because we see a line here doesn't necessarily mean that impacts aren't going to be felt well outside of one of these thin little lines. The storm itself is going to be, it's forecast to be quite large. So impacts could be widely felt across the region. All right. Excuse me. We are going to get into our trends. We're using the University of Albany and Brian Tang's site. As you can see with the GFS has been on the same thing over and over again, going over Hispaniola. The Euro does not agree, stalls this way south of, or just south of Jamaica, and that would become a great concern. The UK Met, as you can see here, had been steadily, and I mean steady, day after day after day, pushing this out to the west. Due west, due west, due west. Well, today, not so much, because now, as you can see, it comes up, goes just south of Jamaica, rolls out over here, well to the west, and then again could put the Cayman Islands into a threat. So it's too early to tell, but folks in the Cayman Islands are highly recommended to monitor this as we continue to go forward. The Canadian model, as you can see, the Canadian model has been pretty steady with itself, kind of bouncing back and forth a little bit, but that does put the Cayman Islands into a threat. And also, obviously, with Jamaica and Cuba and the Bahamas as well. Now we're going to jump into our hurricane-specific models. This is the HWRF. As you can see, the HWRF was steady, run after run, pushing it between Jamaica and the Tiburon Peninsula here of southwestern Haiti. Now, with the 0Z run, and we're obviously going to get new runs throughout the day, but as we see here, landfall into portions of eastern Jamaica in 72 hours with the intensity of around Cat 3. So that would be a major hurricane. The HMON, as you can see, the HMON had been shifted well to the left. This morning, we now have something that looked like what we had with the HMON over the last couple days, splitting the gap between eastern Jamaica and southwestern Haiti, pulling due northward. Now, I'm going to show you all exactly what is the factor with this and how things are going to change over the next 2 days as far as the steering pattern is concerned. If we take a look at HMON's intensity, category 4. So we would be looking at this 120 hour mark of a category 4 system sitting between all of these land masses. That would be very impactful to those areas. HAVS A. Now, HAVS has been running just absolutely bonkers with a lot of its intensities on Melissa. As we can see here, it has been somewhat steady, maybe trending a little bit to the north after it makes its westward turn. But if we, well south of Jamaica, if we take a look at its intensities, category 5. And the category 5 is very possible here. As you can see, again, with HAVS A, it's decently far enough away from Jamaica to be able to maybe interact a little bit with that subsurface eddy. HAVS B, big time shift to the north with HAVS B. As you can see, really wanted to get it down here just barely north of 15 degrees north. Now, with the 0Z run, HAVS B is now, kind of in line with HAVS A. They're not too far off from each other. This is very close to what we see from the National Hurricane Center's official forecast. Intensity, Cat 5, and a very strong Cat 5. These are in knots. And this is 160, 165 knots. That would be absolutely catastrophic, no matter where it were to touch. Coamps, TC Coamps. If we take a look here, TC Coamps has been trending to the right and gets it very close to the Tiburon Peninsula here into southwestern Haiti with maybe just a Cat 1. Now, that would be a lot better than looking at a Cat 5. The HCCA, this is our consensus model. As you can see, the consensus has been trending back a little bit to the east. It is kind of running the gap now between Jamaica and Little Cayman and Cayman Brac out here. Oh, excuse me. Heading towards eastern Cuba and then parts of the Bahamas. If we take a look at the intensity on that, major hurricane is anticipated. They level it off here about midway through category 3 intensities. Taking a look at the TVCN consensus. The TVCN consensus has been pretty steady on direct impacts here to Jamaica and not really moving it very quickly at all. This would be a large problem. We have the 72-hour dot right there, the 96-hour dot right there, and the 120-hour dot right there. So this entire area right here is 48 hours, and it doesn't go hardly anywhere. That would lead to some great rainfall totals and some extreme threat to life, as you could see, bringing it in as a major hurricane in and around category 3. The official forecast from the National Hurricane Center, as you can see, it has shifted just a little bit to the north and is running just south of Jamaica, with the official intensity bringing it up to category 4 status. So this rush all preparations to completion in Jamaica, please. Our forecaster's discussion. The top paragraph is representative of what we get in its verification and justification for its intensity. The one thing that they say 45 knots, but this is probably generous based on the aircraft data and an ASCAP pass from last evening. Now, keep in mind, this discussion came out at 5 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time this morning. Now, we are going to go through paragraphs 2 and 3, and then we'll take a look at our intensity model. Excuse me. The storm has been crawling and moving erratically. In general, Melissa is likely to inch northward during the next 36 to 48 hours, as the storm is influenced by a weakness in the subtropical ridge. By late Friday, a mid-level ridge is forecast to build eastward to the north of the storm, and that pattern change should induce a slow westward or west-northwest motion over the weekend. By early next week, that ridge is expected to move away as a large-scale trough amplifies over the eastern U.S. This change in the steering flow should cause Melissa to begin to gain more latitude again by the end of the forecast period. Given the complex steering pattern and continued model differences in the predicted vertical depth of Melissa, there remains a significant spread in the deterministic guidance and the ensemble solutions. One thing we feel confident about is that Melissa is likely to move slowly and remain in the vicinity of Haiti, Jamaica, and eastern Cuba for several days. The NHC track forecast is shifted a little to the right of the previous one, trending towards a blend of the latest Google DeepMind ensemble mean and the HCCA solution. Paragraph number 3. The current westerly vertical wind shear over Melissa is expected to linger for about another day, and that should keep the storm at around the same intensity during that time. However, after that, the upper level wind pattern will gradually become more conducive while the system remains over the very warm waters of the central and northwestern Caribbean Sea. These conditions should allow for Melissa to become vertically aligned and strengthen significantly. In fact, rapid intensification appears likely this weekend and early next week. The NHC intensity forecast lies near the middle of the guidance envelope from 12 to 72 hours, but leans towards the upper end of the guidance at days 4 and 5. As Melissa intensifies, its wind field is expected to grow and become more symmetric. So you are going to see, right now everything's been tilted off to the east. As we get a little bit more symmetry built into Melissa, then we will start to see that wind field expand on all quadrants of the storm. And yes, good morning, Martha. Good morning, Lisa. We're here. We're plugging away. As you can see with our intensity models, we do not, from the National Hurricane Center, yesterday there was an area between 72 and 96 hours that was specifically calling for rapid intensification. This morning, we do not see that. We've got a 30 mile an hour jump from 48 to 72, and you need 30 knots or 35 miles an hour for rapid intensification. Now, being that it's 30 and you only need 5 miles an hour, it's obviously still very, very probable that that could occur there between the 48 and 72 hour mark. But my thing is once you start a rapid intensification cycle and you have upper level winds that would be conducive, and you have, there's going to be some dry air lingering, but you're not going to have shear to be able to push it into the core. Once you start rapid intensification, it's going to be very difficult to halt that particular intensity increase in any short term. And I'm afraid that those wind speeds, if it stays out over the open waters, I'm afraid that those wind speeds may be a little on the conservative side, even though it shows a Category 4. So taking a quick look at our wind speeds, as we can see here, Montego Bay, you guys are now into 58% chance of tropical storm force winds, 23% chance of seeing those 50 knot or 58 mile an hour winds, and a 9% chance of seeing hurricane force winds. Kingston, Jamaica. This is where things are really starting to increase. We have 74% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, 36% chance of seeing those 50 knot or 58 mile an hour winds, and a 16% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds. Now, as far as everybody else, yes, you are there, but we're not going to mention. I'm really focused on the two major populations there. In getting into Jamaica and watching how these numbers rise as we get through the primary advisories. So by 11 a.m. With the next advisory issuance, we should see these numbers continue to increase, which is quite unfortunate. We almost made it through this season without, really, really severe impacts. Now, we have here a 3-day rainfall forecast from the Weather Prediction Center. I already drew the lines before we got on here this morning, and anywhere within this area of the black line, anything north of that black line, has lower confidence forecast. It is going to be directly dependent upon where the storm goes and its vertical alignment. So we are looking at, even though it is a lower confidence forecast, it doesn't mean that it is just completely null. We've got locally 12 inches plus here for parts of the Tiburon Peninsula in Haiti and eastern Jamaica. Plus some onshore flow coming into parts of the Dominican Republic and on the southern shoreline here, maybe even getting up to points of 8 to 12 inches. So a major rainfall event is definitely in the forecast. There's no doubt about it. Now, how much wind are we going to see and surge? That remains an open question, but the rainfall is definitely going to be there. I have here the Euro on the left and the GFS on the right. We have the 0Z Euro on the left and the 6Z GFS on the right. If you notice, the GFS is still, favoring that track over Hispaniola. Nobody else really is. But it really doesn't matter, because if it goes over Hispaniola, as you can see, a great amount of rain is associated with it. Catastrophic flash flooding. If it follows something a little bit more along the Euro's thinking, we're looking at the potential for catastrophic flash flooding into parts of the Tiburon Peninsula there in southwest Haiti. Jamaica is stomped. I mean, you're looking at a great amount of rain, then with, on top of that, adding in some really strong winds potentially. So tree falls, stuff coming down, power outages, flooding. It's just a mess, folks. This has all the telltale signs of being extraordinarily impactful. And last but not least, we are going to discuss our key messages to reinforce what we have learned with the advisories. Key message number 1, Melissa is expected to meander over the central Caribbean Sea for several days and is forecast to become a major hurricane by late this weekend or early next week. Interest in Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba. Oh, Lord, excuse me. I got the hiccups this morning. And the Dominican Republic are urged to continue monitoring the latest forecast. I do want to include the Cayman Islands and the Bahamas in this as well. Please monitor the forecast. Key message number 2. Due to Melissa's slow motion, the risk of prolonged period of strong winds, possibly lasting for a day or more, is increasing for Jamaica and the Tiburon Peninsula of Haiti. Preparations to protect life and property should be rushed to completion since strong winds could begin over these areas on Friday and continue increasing over the weekend. So if you don't get your preparations done today, you may not be able to get any preparations done until this storm is gone. Maybe too dangerous to complete preparations at that point in time. Key message number 3. Melissa is expected to produce heavy rainfall across portions of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Jamaica through the weekend, bringing a risk of significant life-threatening flash flooding and numerous landslides. Very dangerous situation, folks. Looking at the University of Wisconsin, getting some particulars on the storm. We do not have significant intensities here. The AI rapid intensification model right now is still 6 to 12 hours old. We will definitely be looking at this rapid intensification model tonight at our 6 p.m. Broadcast here on Facebook and YouTube tonight. The current maximum potential intensity where Melissa is sitting, if it had the perfect environmental conditions in which to further intensify, is 169 knots. So there's plenty of fuel, plenty of oceanic heat content down there. Just it's ready to go. If once it can really establish itself, it's sky's the limit at that point. Our shear analysis is kind of fresh, as you can see here with the green color. That represents of less than 3 hours old, so it's a pretty fresh reading here. 22 knots of shear, and we are still going to be dealing with some of that shear as we go through the day today. Using the University of Miami and the Rosenstiel School, this is the one thing that I really wanted to highlight for folks. So what we're showing here is geostrophic velocity. This is area of rotation or spin within the water. Now I'm going to have to change colors here. It is this spot right here that I am concerned with, and then we also have another one over here. These will highlight, if you take a look, one south of Jamaica, one west of Jamaica, getting near the Cayman Islands. As I back out here and pull up our oceanic heat content, you can see that we have a very large area of oceanic heat content right here and a very large area of oceanic heat content right there. These are areas of warm water that actually stretch down into the water with great depth. And the depth here of 26 degree Celsius isotherm right here, this shows how deep you would have to go before you hit the water temperature between 79 and 80 degrees, which is kind of, in a way, kind of the minimal threshold for tropical cyclone development and sustainment at that point. Notice we have a very, very bright color right here and another set of bright colors right here. Thankfully, we're not dealing with this little thing right there. That we would not want to deal with that. And thankfully, there's no forecast that shows this getting off that far to the west, north of Honduras, east of Belize. But if we match these colors up with our color table, it's at least 125. But that's not 125 feet, folks. That's 125 meters. Great depth with this warm water. And, it's an untapped fuel source. We've had nothing down there this year. And it's got all the potential to let us know that nothing occurred down there this year. Now, I'm pulling up Earthnall here this morning because I do want to highlight something here. Now, we are at the 250 millibar level. This is approximately 6 miles above the ocean surface, getting in and around 34,000 feet, give or take a little bit. So what we're showing is the upper level winds and how they are definitely moving in and impacting Melissa here. Now, as we can see, we've got this curvature of winds right there. This is the upper level trough that is helping to increase the shear, and it actually tails back like that. As I run this forward, now keep in mind it's the GFS's solution, and the GFS is going to try to tear this thing towards Hispaniola. But that's not the reason that I'm showing it this morning, because I want everybody to watch this dip, this trough line right here. As we go forward, that is going to go this direction. 1, 2, 3. Now, as you can see, I've jumped forward 24 hours. Look at the winds down here into the Caribbean. Let's go back to now. Look at some of the strength, some of the speed, some of the brighter colors. Let's go back to 24 hours. You don't see much. You don't see much at all. If I take this forward just one more click, 2 more clicks, the shear is pretty much collapsed. And at this point, that upper level trough is gone. And now we have the subtropical jet off to the north, but we are waiting for the arrival of this low pressure here. This is in the western United States at this point. That's what we're waiting on. If I take this forward, you will note how that continues to move eastward and creates a little bit of the opportunity, if it is strong enough, for it to get up and out. We also have another shortwave trough here on the back side of that. Now, it's all going to depend on where this is. Now, if, say, the forecast verifies and it's not the GFS and we end up getting this south of Jamaica over the coming days, this little trough area here may not catch it. We may have to wait for the second one. So there's a lot of questions and a lot of uncertainty with this, folks. So please, please, please monitor the National Hurricane Center and their official forecast. Now we're going to jump into the models and the ensembles. As you can see, I've already got this pushed out 10 days, and it is an absolute mess. Getting it out here to day 4, running it towards day 5, day 7, 6. I mean, there is so much uncertainty right now that it is quite concerning, because we can't really pin things down, and there are folks in the way. So it is highly recommended for everybody out there to please keep monitoring on this storm. And if you're in the area, like I said, the Caymans, getting into central eastern Cuba, obviously Haiti, especially Jamaica and parts of the Bahamas, go ahead and start maybe, some preparations. As far as Jamaica is concerned, rush them to completion immediately, and parts of Haiti as well. Rush immediate completion. If we compare the Euro to the GEFS, we are out 7 days. Now, the GEFS, we don't see a lot of power on this today. We do have quite a bit of the ensemble members, as you can see, really doesn't want to get it west of Jamaica. There's a lot of the ensemble members that do not want to allow this to get west of Jamaica. And again, there's so much uncertainty to it because Nobody can tell exactly how strong Melissa's going to be. Is Melissa going to be able to achieve vertical alignment through the atmosphere at height? If it does, it could favor that more eastern side of the track. If it doesn't, it is likely to follow the western side of the track. It's all going to depend upon storm structure. Now, with the Euro AI, as you can see here, we'll bring it back to 48 hours. There are some that bring it to the east of Jamaica, but then it gets cut off, maybe interacting with land at Jamaica, and then after about day 7, there it goes. Gets picked up by the next trough and exited out. But to do that, it's got to go over land to get out of the Caribbean. So landfall is pretty much a guarantee. You're not going to be able to get it out of the Caribbean without making landfall. It would be extraordinarily difficult. You would have to go around all the land masses, kind of snaking your way through there. And tropical cyclones, it's not saying that it couldn't happen, but the chances would be extraordinarily low. You would basically, if you were going to bet that, that would be one of those epic long shot bets. So now we're taking a look at the Google DeepMind, and as you can see, I will highlight the mean right here. Brings this into landfall into central Jamaica as a category 3. That is the ensemble mean. As you can see, there is a great amount of uncertainty and kind of, we're going to play Where's Waldo here. Except it's going to be Where's Melissa in about the next 24 to 48 hours, because where that is located then, maybe around 24 hours, where it is located then, that's when that trough that I showed you in the upper levels moves along, and the ridge then builds back in over to the north, and then would potentially lead to a more westward track. And if it goes south of Jamaica, and it stays away from land, and it doesn't have a lot of land interactions, sky's the limit with this, folks. And it's bad. It's real bad. If we take a look at the intensity distribution of that model, we're looking at here on October 27th at 6 UTC, so this would be 2 p.m. on Monday. We are looking at the breakdown of the ensembles being: 1 has nothing, 1 has a tropical depression, so that's 2% of nothing, 2% of a tropical depression. Tropical storm, that has 11 of the ensembles, that equates to 22%. That could also be dealing with a lot of land interaction. We have 5 at the category 1. We have 3 of a category 2. We have 4 members as a category 4 or category 3, 11 members as a category 4, 14 members as a category 5. So 25 of these 50 ensemble members are category 4, category 5 status, which then equates to a coin flip. 50-50 chance, 50% chance that we are looking at from here on Monday, from the Google DeepMind Monday afternoon, that we would be looking at least a category 4 hurricane with Melissa. And there are quite a few that like I said, this is not good, folks. We hope for the best, but in realistic terms, a 50-50 chance of seeing a category 4 or stronger, that's very concerning, especially with the amount of rain that we are already going to see falling. And then you want to push in these really, really strong winds. With saturated soils, it's going to be very difficult for trees and their root systems to be able to hold into the ground without tumbling. And there's a lot of height in Jamaica. when we're dealing with a tropical cyclone. As you get further up in height, the wind speeds increase. So, say you're 3,000 feet up on one of the elevated, areas of terrain out there, you are going to see stronger winds at 3,000 feet above sea level than you would at sea level. You don't have the friction of land to be able to slow it down. There's no drag, and you're really starting to get into some serious problems there. All right, now our 850 millibar cyclonic vorticity. These graphics measure areas of spin approximately 5,000 feet or 1 mile above the ocean surface. We have the Euro on the left and the GFS on the right. As we run these forward, you will notice that, again, there's not much movement. The GFS already has it at 66 hours here on the 6C, already has it into parts of Haiti. The Euro, on the other hand, has it shifting to the left, south of Jamaica. If the GFS is what verifies, notice that low-level center does not move. It doesn't move for quite a bit, and that would create some extraordinarily catastrophic rainfall amounts that could well exceed what we'd see with the Euro solutions. Its proximity and the mountainous terrain there on the island of Hispaniola would almost certainly lead to a catastrophic loss of life. Looking at the Euro, if we run this, as we could see, getting it out south of Jamaica and then turning it in response to that frontal boundary. Here it comes. You could see this wave of energy right here. That right there. As I run this forward, as soon as I get control back to the page here, you will see that a coastal low pressure develops off of the east coast, and that induces plenty of weakness that allows this to get out. So it does look, regardless what happens, that we're going to get a coastal storm here from the GFS or the Euro. So non-tropical, but coastal nonetheless. Taking a look at our humidity models, we've got the 500 millibar level on the top, the 700 millibar level on the bottom. We've got the Euro on the left, the GFS on the right. These represent what we're looking for is the moisture and the dry air between approximately 10 to 18,000 feet above the ocean surface. Greens represent our moisture, and our browns and whites represent our dry air. Now, as we run this forward, one of the reasons that we're doing this is we really want to highlight the amount of dry air that sits off to the west of the system. Granted, it is forecast to rapidly intensify, potentially, and become a major hurricane, but there will still be a great amount of dry air to the west of the system. That could, at any point in time, entrain within the core and maybe, just lessen the rapid intensification potentials. Still probably would intensify, but hey, if we could buy 6 hours of, lower intensification rates, we'll take it. Especially if we're looking at something with a 50-50 chance from the Google DeepMind that has performed extraordinarily well this year, showing Category 4, Category 5 status. So now we're out here at 5 days, and notice the frontal boundary right there. Both models are calling for it, day 4, day 5, and then that's the protection for, especially for southern Florida. It's too early to determine whether this low pressure up here would be able to then be positioned in such a way that it could capture Melissa on its exit out and then bend it back towards the northeast, the northeastern United States, maybe getting into Atlantic Canada. But again, we're so far out there with not even knowing where this thing is going to be exactly in 24, 48 hours. There's no way that anybody can make a determination of where this thing is going to be in 9 days. Getting into our deep layer wind shear. These two graphics are representative of our wind shear from the 200 millibar level, which is around 40,000 feet, all the way down to the 850 millibar level, which is around 5,000 feet. Now, as we roll this forward, there goes that trough that we showed there on Earth Null. We start to get a linear fashion to our subtropical jet. We've got the GFS has been pulled far enough north to where it is being influenced by land and other factors. The euro, on the other hand, is down here in 3.5 days, and as you could see, it is in a pretty much a prime environment for further intensification, and it does exactly that. 938, 935, 925 in minimum central pressure. 924, 918, 932, 48. So basically what we're getting at is it is going to be, if it does make this left-hand turn and follow south of Jamaica and getting out especially to the west of Jamaica, the chances of this becoming just an absolutely bona fide monster of a storm is anticipated. Now, if you guys bear with me, I am going to create another graphic here if it will load for me. We're going to clear the loops, and we're going to come down to the tropical Atlantic. And we are going to look for our simulated infrared satellite. And we're going to pull both the Euro and the GFS on this. And the reason that I want to show this is because size of storm. Now, as I roll this forward, you can see the GFS really starting to try to expand, but it is over land, so it's not really getting that full fuel source of what we saw with the Euro. Now, if you look at with the Euro here and its infrared satellite, you could see some extraordinarily cold cloud tops and a growing system in size. But as you can also see with the Euro, we didn't get anything for U.S. interests. But as you can see, very, very impactful. Very, very impactful. Size of the storm is going to be crucial. And as you can see here, maybe scraping, with some peripheral effects to the extreme eastern portions of Honduras and the extreme northeastern portions of Nicaragua. So that is about all I have for everybody here this morning. Please, if you guys need the databases there, it'll give you all of the official links to the official agencies out there across the islands. So please, folks, use your official sources, especially when we're dealing with stuff like this. So, all right, everybody, that's all I've got here for this morning. I will be back live at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central at our normal regular time, and we will go over the primary advisory there issued at 5 p.m. Eastern by the National Hurricane Center. As this continues to evolve, we will be live again tonight to cover the 11 p.m. primary advisory at 10:45 Eastern. So we're picking up our broadcasts and coverage of this, being that it does look to be about the last potential system of the season. So, but unfortunately, it is coming with a very, very large threat to life here. So Have a wonderful morning, everybody. Stay safe, stay weather aware. Folks in the watch and warning areas, rush your preparations to completion. And we will talk to you again in a few hours. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye for now.